So today, what if takes us to traveling in a world of my creation. And thank you, Jan, for that beautiful meditation. I was traveling and I was like, what? On a horse and buggy? What? I thought with my mind, with my thoughts, that it would be a plane or a yacht or something fabulous. It was a horse and buggy. I said, well, okay, let's go. We didn't go fast, y'all. Those horses they were feeling like I was. They lost that hour. They was like, we just gonna stroll. We're not galloping anywhere today. So wherever you travel to, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it and that you received what you needed, that anything is possible. Anything is possible. So what if the world you experience is not simply something happening to you, right? We know that nothing is happening to us, right? We know that everything is happening for us, and we get to create our world through our consciousness. So, what if the inner world you cultivate, your world, you cultivate it through the knowingness that you already possess everything that you need to create that? What if, just what if you already knew that and not just knew it, but took action through that knowingness? So I've shared on many occasions aspects of my childhood. Most of you know I was raised by a single mother. I'm the oldest of four children. And for a time, we were on welfare. We lived in the projects. I grew up in what I like to call now middle class poor because I didn't know we were poor. I had no idea. And everything that I really, really wanted, I got. My basic needs were provided for. I felt loved. I was surrounded by family. There was connection. There was belonging. In other words, my mother created a world for her children where we all felt loved. We all felt seen, right? She created a world of safety. She created a world that I traveled in where I knew that I mattered. And so looking back now, I realized something. I realized that my mother, although she may not have had a lot of money, she had a powerful consciousness of love. And that consciousness shaped the world we lived in. As a child, that was the world I traveled in. I traveled in a world of my mother's creation. And that's what children do. They travel in a world of their caregiver's creation, whatever that may be. So, until the summer of 1977, and I remember the year because it was the summer that they caught the Son of Sam. You remember the Son of Sam? So that year is like etched in my memory for that reason, and because that was the year, the summer, that my mother registered me for the Fresh Air Fund's Friendly Towns program, where children from New York City stayed with volunteer host families in rural, suburban, and small town communities. And the purpose was to expose children from underserved communities to summers outside of the city. So this was my first time away from my family. My host family was, let's say, very well to do. They had a big old juicy house. They had not just a backyard, but they had a front yard. They had a side yard. They had all the yard, right? They owned a minor league baseball team. I remember them showing me around the house, and and to this day I can remember walking through all of the areas of the house and realizing that all of the children, I think there were three of them, had their own room. I was like mind blown. What? Y'all have your own room? What? I thought that was only on television. I didn't know that people lived like that. So as I was having this experience, something started to shift in my 11-year-old mind in that moment. I remember returning home, y'all. I was so mad. I was confused and I was so mad. I started to view myself differently, right? I started to view myself through this lens of what I have been exposed to. And I started to compare my family to this white suburban family that had just blown up my world in 2 weeks, right? I, I'm pretty sure that was not in the Fresh Air Funds brochure. But it was the first time that this thought entered my mind. This thought that had never existed before. This thought that we are poor. We are poor. And without realizing it, I started to create an affirmation. I am poor. And suddenly I started to see my life through that lens of lack and limitation. And I was unknowingly allowing that experience to influence how I traveled in the world that I was now creating, right? So some of us are still allowing other people, past experiences, comparison, doubt, and fear to create our world. At some point, my mother was no longer creating the world I was traveling in. I was creating the world I was traveling in. However, that consciousness that developed when I was a child came along with me, and it showed up in a multitude of ways. So some of us are traveling through life based on a belief that entered our consciousness a long time ago, a belief that sparked comparison, rejection, fear, not enough, not lovable, unworthy. A moment when someone told us or experience showed us this illusion of who we are. And without realizing it, we created a whole story, a whole narrative, a whole world around that. And that became the way we traveled in the world. So Ernest Holmes writes in this thing called You, create or perish is the eternal mandate of nature. Create or perish is the eternal mandate of nature. We are creators. We are here to create. We can do it consciously and intelligently, or we could do it unconsciously and unintelligently. Creation is one of those things that is not optional. You are always creating because you are a creator. You create a belief, you create a perception, you create a story, and that story becomes, that consciousness becomes the world you travel through. So I often ask myself, Melissa, where are you? And then I have to go gather myself and bring myself here. Because I wander off. I wander off to the past. I wander off to the future. I wander all over the place. And I have to go get myself and bring myself here. One of my favorite books is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And he writes in that book, what you think of as the past is a memory trace stored in the mind of a former now. When you remember the past, you reactivate a memory trace and you do so now. The future is an imagined now, a projection of the mind. When the future comes, it comes as the now. So when you think about the future, you do it now. Past and future obviously have no reality on their own, which means the world you are traveling in is always being created right now, right now. So I want to invite you to just take a moment and close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions and just let it be. This is not a test. What world are you traveling in right now? What world are you traveling in right now? Is it a world shaped by fear or a world shaped by anything is possible? Is it a world of comparison or a world of connection? What world are you traveling in right now? And take a breath and just stay here for a moment. Because traveling in a world of your creation invites you to answer the question, what at this moment is lacking? What at this moment is lacking? And just notice what arises. Consider this possibility. If you are the answer to what is lacking in this world, what if you, your gifts, your purpose, your presence is what the answer is to what is lacking in this world? Just breathe that in. And just say to yourself, I remember this. Take one more breath, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And so later on, I just invite you to capture whatever came up for you. And that's why I said for you to say to yourself, I remember this. So you'll remember it later on. You see, because you get to be that which is lacking now in the world as you travel in a world of your creation. And the question is, if not now, then when? What are we waiting for? Jan said, we are the ones that we have been waiting for. And I see each and every one of you who have your cameras on, and I see each and every one of you whose names are up. I see you. So now is the time. Now is the time for you to know that you are a creator. And if you do that, if you know and if you know that the time is now, that there is an urgency, can you feel the urgency? There is an urgency that becomes more and more and more urgent. So our March theme, What If, challenges us to collectively travel in a world of our creation, and at Rockland CSL, a world rooted in oneness. That is what our vision inspires and invites us to do now. Now. Because vision is a vibrational pull that inspires and conspires with us to become the vessel through which the vision pours itself into the world, here and now. And the wonderfully exciting part of this for me is that I get to travel in the world of my creation with company, to know that none of us travel alone in the world of our creation. In this traveling, we get to do what civil rights leader John Lewis called get into good trouble with good company, right? Reverend Jesse Jackson recently passed, and I was watching some of the footage of some of the memorial services that have been held for him. And I was watching the one with former President Barack Obama. He gave remarks at the memorial service. And I just want to share a couple of things that President Obama said. He said Jesse's immense gifts were apparent at an early age, even if circumstances conspired to hold him back. Jesse was born out of wedlock to a teenage mother and growing up under the oppressive cloud of segregation. You see, Jesse traveled in a world created to tell a Black child that he could only go but so far, that to think otherwise would be foolish or dangerous, and that wisdom required that you just accept your lot in life. But Barack said young Jesse refused to accept that verdict. He refused to accept the creation of a world that he did not create for himself. Reverend Jesse Jackson traveled in a world of his creation, and he knew that his life mattered. He knew that he was here to make a difference in a way that he was gifted to do so. He knew that there was something lacking in the world, and that his gift, his purpose, was part of the answer for what was lacking. He transformed the world's verdict about who he is into a vision of power and freedom, a world where he knew he was somebody. And he wanted all of us to know that we were somebody too. So he traveled the world in his creation, and he too did not travel alone. He gathered people, he organized people. He was one of the leaders of the civil rights movement. He stirred consciousness. He got into good trouble, yes? Trouble that expands justice, trouble that expands dignity, trouble that expands love. So now look at our world today. Wars, division, greed, fear that's amplified across media and politics. And I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it can feel like a lot, overwhelming, stirs up deep concern and fear. But that spiritual question remains, what world are we choosing to travel in? Are you traveling in a world of your creation, or are you traveling in a world of the world's creation? Are you traveling in a world of your creation? Yes, there's war. Yes, there's division. Yes, there's greed. Yes, there are all of these things. But the question remains, what world are you choosing to travel in? Because you are a creator. You are a creator. So what if we collectively traveled in a world rooted in oneness? What if we refuse, like Jesse did? What if we refuse the verdict of fear and limitation and racism? What if we refuse that verdict? What if we chose imagination over resignation? What if we understood that the world changes when consciousness changes? And when I think about all of this, I think about my mother. Mm. Woo. Mm. Woo. See, this is what happened when you lose an hour of sleep. I think about my mother. I think about all of the things, all the maneuvering my mother had to do to create a world where I didn't know I was poor. Just let that sink in. Mm. So long before I studied the science of mind, long before I read Ernest Holmes, my mother already knew something. She knew that love creates a world. She knew that connection creates a world. She knew that consciousness, and my mother would never use the word consciousness, y'all, ever. But she knew that consciousness shapes experience. She knew that with God, all things are possible. My mother traveled in a world of her creation rooted in God is good all the time. Yes, even when we were having this experience of what is called poor. So my mother may not have had a lot of money. My mother may not have had the the resources to, give me money every single day so that I could get a Pepsi and a Coke like all my other friends were doing. Instead, I had a homemade lunch that I was ashamed of having because everybody else was having Pepsi and a pizza, right? But she was rich in consciousness, a consciousness of love, a consciousness of accepting me just as I just as I was as a child. And I was a lot, y'all. I was a lot. Because when I came back from the fresh air fund and I was mad, who do you think I took it out on? My mother. I became the rebel. I became stubborn. I became, you can't tell me anything. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. My teenage years with my mother was hell, y'all. Hell. My mother says, the reason why you have twins is because God needed you to have two so that you can experience what you put me through. It would take two at the same time. So my mother planted the seed of possibility within me by exposing me to a world, the fresh air fund, going up, being with those folks, Seeing the possibility, seeing the possibility that was beyond 997 East 179th Street in the Bronx. And that consciousness created a world where I felt loved, safe, and knew that I was enough. And that is the power each of us carries. So you may be thinking, Red Melissa, I don't have anything to contribute to this world that is lacking. I don't have anything to contribute that will make a difference. What we must remind ourselves is that we can't see the whole picture. The lens by which we view the world is a sliver, but guess who sees it all? Guess who knows it all? God, Spirit, Source, the Creator sees the whole picture. And that is the story that my mother believed in. That God got me. That God sees the whole picture of my life. And my mother has strong faith in that. So when Jesse Jackson ran for president in 1984 and in 1988, the image of seeing a Black person planted seeds in the consciousness of what is possible in the seemingly impossible. And although he lost, he didn't know that a young community organizer named Barack Obama was watching him debate Walter Mondale and Gary Hart. President Obama shared in his remarks that after watching that debate, that the message Jesse Jackson sent to this 22-year-old child of a single mother with a funny name, an outsider, was that maybe there wasn't any place, any room where we do not belong. He said that Jesse invited all of us to believe in our own power to change America for the better. Jesse didn't know that 20 years later, that child of a single mother with a funny name would become the first Black president of the United States, not just once, but twice. So Jesse was an example of traveling in a world of his creation, not seeing the whole picture, just a sliver. And he paved a way, not the only way, but a way. He paved a way of hope. One of Jesse Jackson's sayings was what? Keep hope alive. Yes, keep hope alive. So you too, y'all, each and every one of us has a way to pave when you travel in a world of your creation. You can't see the whole picture. It's okay. You may not know how. It's okay, because what? God got the how. We could release that and let it go. The whole picture is not a requirement to give what is lacking in this moment. So you are not simply traveling in the world. You are participating in its creation. The past is a memory. The future is the imagination. And the power to create is always now. So I'm going to leave y'all with this question for you to answer for your love work. What at this moment is lacking? You already stirred it up when we took that moment to pause. What at this moment is lacking? I say to you that it is your gift, it is your purpose, it is your presence. That is the answer to what is lacking in the world. So if the answer for you is love, be love. If the answer for you is justice, be justice. If the answer for you is peace, be peace. If the answer for you is courage, be courage. Most of us have made a commitment to an inner truth, a high vibration quality. Be that quality, be that high vibration, because that is what the world needs. We get to be it and we get to do it now. And remember, you are not here just to be here. You are not here just to take up space. You are not here just to breathe the air. You are here for a divine purpose. You are on divine assignment. And you said yes. Otherwise, you would not be here now. You are here, all of us, for a purpose. And so I want to end this instead of our spiritual mind treatment. I want to end this with the words of Jesse Jackson. And it's an affirmation that we each get to repeat. So I just invite you, you can take a deep breath, but everyone repeat these words. So back in the day, Reverend Jesse Jackson appeared on Sesame Street, and he recited these words to the children. And so I invite you to do so now as well. You're ready? All right.
Ready on the stump? Yeah. Okay. Here we go. I am somebody. I am somebody.
Here we go.
I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am somebody. I may make a mistake, but I am somebody. My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different. But I am somebody. I am black, brown, white. I speak a different language. But I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am God's child. I am somebody. Give yourself a big hand.
I am somebody. Yes, 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 yes. Whew. So let us remember that. Let us know that the world that we are traveling in is a world of our creation, and that each and every one of us already is somebody. Peace and blessings, everyone.